Hey guys, welcome back to Loft Sports. I'm Seth, coming at you with another edition of the Big Red Report. Haven't had too much to talk about. Shouldn't say luckily, got some news, something to actually report on. The whole J.D. Spielman taking a temporary leave from the program. My initial reaction to this is, one, I wonder why. I know he was a Riley guy, but at some point we have to stop saying these are Riley guys and we're better off without him. Because if you actually think we're better off without J.D. Spielman, then you're an idiot and you can just turn off the video right now because I don't care about your opinion. This is a guy that over the last 3 years has been the only receiver who has consistently made any plays. He's averaging about 56 catches or so a year, 850 yards, right around there, and then 5 touchdowns, which for us being more of a running program and just not being very good the last few years is actually good numbers considering we've only had one receiver ever go over 1,000 yards in one season. So he's very productive. He's on pace to break all of our receiving records that Stanley just broke 2 years prior. And when you look at what this leaves the receiver room like this spring, it's absolutely barren. We're only returning about 25% of our production. There's really only 2 guys on the roster now that are labeled as wide receivers who have even caught a pass. And I'm talking about Wan'Dale Robinson, Cade Warner. Wan'Dale caught 40 last year. Cade Warner only caught 8. And a lot of those Wan'Dale receptions were out of the backfield on screens when he was lined up as a running back. So when we're actually talking about receivers running routes, catching the ball, getting open, there is nothing there. Now, I know we got a really good receiver class coming in, a lot of talent in the summer. But guys, this is a big deal. It's definitely something to worry about because why is your top offensive player at a position of really big need that you can't afford any injuries, anybody leaving, transferring, anything? He's temporarily leaving the program. Now, okay, normally I don't like to claim, hey, I'm an insider. I get a lot of information. But the bottom line is even though I'm all the way out here in North Carolina, I get a lot of information before it's made public. I'm not going to talk about how. I just do. I knew this was going to happen, that JD was leaving the program. I knew this the Thursday before it was publicly announced. I knew, well, I don't know the exact days, but I knew 3 or 4 days before this was actually announced by the university. So here's my read on it from everything that I've been hearing. He doesn't like the coaching staff. He likes Riley's way of doing things more, where it's, one, more passes, more type of NFL style routes, everything like that. JD was going to be his version of Brandon Cooks like Riley had at Oregon State. That was his whole pitch to him. He came here, and now he's being asked to block. He's being asked to bust his ass in the weight room more than Riley would have ever asked him to. He's being asked to do a lot of things that doesn't allow him to be a Brandon Cooks, catch 80, 90 passes, all within 5-10 yards, do things after the ball or after the catch. He's not asked to do those things. Now, he can be a really good player in the system, but the bottom line is I just don't think he wants to be. I think he doesn't want to be in the system. I don't think he likes the coaches. For whatever reason, he just doesn't gel with them. Now, I don't know how as a head coach, one of your top players is in that position. Don't know why you can't work it out. That's more of a question on Scott Frost and potentially his leadership and where the hold of this team is. Questions to be asked there when your top player is, for all intents and purposes, leaving. Because here's what I really think is going to happen. All the things I've been reading, the tea leaves, whatever you want to say, he's going to try to file a waiver with the NCAA to claim that at Nebraska was not good for his mental health and he'd like to play back home. Just so happens that Minnesota just came off the best year the program's ever had. There's never been more hype around the program, and honestly, there's probably never been more questions about our program. So I hate to do this, but where PJ Fleck and Minnesota are after last year is up here. We're down here. They did last year what we were supposed to do. What our head coach was bragging was right around the corner, hyping up all spring and fall. Didn't deliver. PJ Fleck did. It is what it is. We could talk about a whole other video on that. But the bottom line is, JD's from Minnesota. Minnesota just had a great year. They just lost 2 receivers to the pros. They return a very good quarterback for their system. There's a lot there for JD to want to go do. And unfortunately, I think that's where this is headed. I think he's going to file a waiver with the NCAA. I think the NCAA is going to allow it because anytime there's anything with these issues of mental health or anything like that, and I'm not trying to be that guy that's saying he's making it up. He really could seriously be going through some stuff. But the way college football works these days, everybody looks for every little reason to transfer and get immediate eligibility. I hate to say JD's trying to pull one on the NCAA, but you at least have to ask the question. Now, that's just how I'm seeing it. I actually fully expect him to not come back to the university. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to try to get a waiver to go play at Minnesota. I'm curious to know when the cutoff date is of when he has to report back because he's still enrolled in classes at Nebraska for the spring semester. So not sure how all of that works out. I'm going to be paying attention to all my little inside information I get as much as I can. Try to throw some of that knowledge out when I feel comfortable doing it, that it could actually happen. But right now, that's more than likely what's going to happen. JD will be at Minnesota next year if the NCAA grants him, and we're going to have to play against them and deal with it. But I was really curious about your guys' thoughts. Do you think he's going to come back? Do you think it's as big of a deal that we lose him as I do? Are you thinking it's maybe just a decision on his part, or is this something to do with Prost? I just want to know your guys' opinions because this is a big deal when you lose 80% of your receiving production last year. It's a really big deal, especially when the receiver room is as unproven as it is. A lot of questions to be asked even with Spielman in that room, and now he's gone. Creates a lot of chaos. So I just want to know your guys' opinion. Do you think he'll come back? Do you think he'll be at Minnesota? Just let me know in the comments. But I just want to do a video and share my thoughts on this. But until next time, this is Seth with Loft Sports, signing off. I don't know, probably wherever the hole is.